Should the Canadian government really have the power to regulate, manipulate, and control the content that you see on the internet? Well, if Bill C-11 passes, that's about to be the case, as the new legislation from the Trudeau government would fundamentally alter the status of the internet in Canada. And here's what I mean. Today, with few exceptions, the internet is a user-generated medium, meaning what you see is what is produced by companies and content creators like me with little to no input from the government. But all that is about to change. What the government is now doing is preparing to assume all that power for itself through an entity, which you may have already heard of, called the CRTC, an arm of the government that already has the immense power to regulate and control all television and radio programming in Canada. So what are their plans for the internet? Well, what they are interested in most, by their own admission, is controlling and manipulating the algorithms of major social media companies like YouTube and Facebook, otherwise called the discoverability of content. And while down the road they may also target what you can or cannot post as users, right now, that's not really the point. Instead, it's much easier for them to simply control what you see, the information, especially the political information that you consume. Here's an example. Right now in Canada, the vast majority of the media is controlled, owned, or subsidized by the government, and the non-government media, for the most part, are owned by a very small group of people and corporations whose networks taken together are almost indistinguishable from one another, which is why many Canadians seeking alternatives consume content from the United States, the UK, and other places. Under this new legislation, all of that alternative content will be buried, with Canadians forced to scroll through pages of uniform, regurgitated opinions from entities like the CBC to find the content, that they actually want to watch, if they can find it at all. Now, this won't just be the case with news. It will also be the case for entertainment, music, comedy, and virtually all online content imaginable. So while the government might not be throwing people in jail for expressing their opinions, by manipulating the public discourse and controlling whose ideas or perspectives are consumed online, they are essentially accomplishing the same thing, which is to restrict the dissemination of the free expression of Canadians at the expense of diversity of thought. Ironically, the one kind of diversity that a democracy cannot survive without.